Oh boy, that was weird. Well, we're back. I apologize for that technical difficulties. My setup is very rudimentary. Um, USB nonsense went kind of fucky. So, but we're back. We were talking about this point. We were talking about this guy's Twitter, and we're going to get back into that. So, hop back in, reset again. Hopefully, no more technical difficulties. It's really annoying. It's really frustrating. All right, so we're back to Mr. Tony Beers. Like I said, please don't at him. Leave him alone. Let him stew in whatever weird world he's from. Okay. So getting back to this, he seems really obsessed with the idea that the different migrations that we've had in the world were often genocides, which is partially true because there were a lot of wars fought. But what he's talking about is natural migration. He's talking about becoming a part of a society, um, which he sees as, and it's just it's such a very very strange way to look at it, especially looking at it as this idea of genocide. That's something that I can't understand for the life of me. I like how is it genocide? We're not being killed. We're choosing to allow people who are not us to become a part of our lives. That's way different than, say, plowing into someone else's country and starting to murder a bunch of them, which is something we are guilty of. And there's this complete lack of self, self acknowledgement, I guess is the best word. I'm drawing a blank on the word. Where he's not acknowledging that, why it's a bad thing to be a minority in this country. It's a bad thing to be a minority in this country because we choose to treat minorities poorly. It has nothing to do with the people we treat poorly. Now, we can go ahead and say that there is a possibility that the mistakes of the past will come back and haunt us, which, I mean, there is that likelihood, but man, I don't see that as a reasonable fear to have. Because essentially what you're saying is, because some of us will still exist more white than others, will be treated different. Ignoring all of history where the darker skin you have, of most races, tend to get treated worse. Like, I don't know, man. It's really sad that this is the fear of, you know, mostly white men like myself, that we are being systematically replaced. And let's just go to another part of it, because I thought this was very very telling. I had to restart my computer, so I might have lost my place. Just go ahead and keep going. Yeah, here we go. I pointed out blame evolution. I pointed out blaming just natural migration. All sorts of things. Oh no. Oh wait, here it is. Wait a minute. Is this guy... This guy is a movie reviewer. Um, oh boy. Yeah. You know what? Remember when I said don't at him? Fuck it. Why not? Don't dox him or anything like that. I'm just saying, this guy wants public attention. Go ahead and give it to him. Why not? He craves it. So why not? It's just not going to be the kind that he likes. And this is what I all had to sift through. He's tweeting at Conan O'Brien several times to show the real Haiti. The real Haiti. Yeah, just like those pictures of the real Detroit and the real Flint. I mean, like, sure, if you look out my window, you may or may not see an abandoned house. But then you'll turn around and you'll see my house, which is a fairly new house, and a rather nice one. So, all right, like look at all this area up here, and look, this is fairly not long after the earthquake. Like, there's that boat that's capsized a little bit and a little busted up, and there's a lot of trash everywhere. This looks like it's fairly. Oh my god, this is ridiculous. He's fucking tweeting at Conan O'Brien. Oh. Yeah, I had to scroll through a lot to get back to where he was tweeting at me. Okay, why isn't this loading? It's having trouble loading. I apologize. See if that helps a little bit. Okay. Yeah, he started asking me about Muslim terrorist attacks and how they do most of the terrorist attacks in the world, which actually isn't true, and I pointed it out. But he says that because they do 31% of terrorist attacks in this country, they're a bigger threat than the white right-wing terrorists who commit the vast majority of terrorism, which he says is natural, which, it's still overproportioned for the amount of our race, especially if his fear is that we're turning into a minority white country, which is very strange that you would acknowledge that, oh, well, it's over proportions for Muslims, but it's not over proportion for whites who commit, it was something like 73% of all terrorist attacks in this country. And like there were small spatterings of, because I looked it up for him, because why the hell not? Oh boy. Eventually he just started tweeting, mass tweeting me, and I like I said, I had to stop. So now I'm doing this. So clearly I'm over it. But like I said, it gets you thinking. These refugees, they come here and they take all our money. We don't have enough resources to take care of them. We do. We are a country that throws away more food than most of the world. So I think resources like food are fine. He brought up fuel and coal. I'm like, well, if we switch to renewable energies, we'd be fine. But that's a whole thing. He didn't like that, and I also pointed out modern monetary theory, pointing out that we can just print more money if you're worried about us not having enough money. And to which he's like, we can't just print more money. We've been doing that. Oh, that devalues it. It really doesn't. You know what devalues money? Lowering taxes. That devalues money. So, good Lord. I don't even know what this was in reply to. Oh, yeah. I had to ask him about, you know what's interesting? I was not allowed to share the Jews will not replace this video on from YouTube to him. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, I did say that it's clear as day. If I told him to look it up. He clearly didn't. And then I asked him, what does blood and soil mean? It means patriotism. It means defending one's country or people with one's life. And in the context of you will not replace us and later Jews will not replace us, the attacking of people of color means what? The activists against them were also patriots who care about their country. It's why they were there. One felt ownership, the other defense. And that is a key difference. That is a key difference. One that, of course, he brushed off because, Antifa's the real evil. And I linked him to Sam Cedar's interview about what happens to Antifa after, the anti-fascist groups after fascism dies down. Well, it goes away. We've seen this historically. It's so unbelievable that this is. I don't even know, man. I don't even know. But everything was always a dodge, to basically always revert back to, I believe in white genocide, but it always seemed like at any time he was willing to completely just block me if I used the R word, which is racist, which is what he is. But, I get very curious and I like to hear these things because, I just had to know what drove him to this thought. So let's look at some further facts about white genocide. In his own words, let's go back to this because I just remembered where I was. I lost my train of thought before. One of his points, let's see, is it here? Oh, here. Yes. I asked him, I said, he decided to state that what was happening against the white race in this country was we were being colonized. And I said, that's not colonization, that's immigration. And countries inhabiting those countries, people are choosing to go there and intermingle as we've always done. And this is again in reference to his statement about Japan. To which he replied, and this is very interesting, I don't see a difference in both a foreign people replace a native people, which is a very interesting word to use. A foreign people replace a native people. Let's just bring the camera back. He believes that we are the native people of this country. I'm just saying, that is delusion upon delusion. What the hell? I'm sorry. I just had to point that out because again, he actually uses the word native with no self-awareness at all to say that we are the native people of this country. That is a whole lot of revisionist history right there. Like, do I even need to say why that's stupid? Do I even need to say why that's completely and utterly deluded? Why that is just a complete and utter facsimile of the truth? We are not native here. We are not. We killed a shitload of the actual native people here. That was colonization. That is what we did. And that is what made us not the native people, but the invaders. That is the difference. And that is not what is happening to us. So let's see what he believes is. Because pointing that out apparently is just you don't do that. I don't see a difference in both, comma, please. A foreign people replace a native people. Again, this isn't about immigration. I don't see how. It's about refugees. Refugees don't want to assimilate. They want to conquer. This is where I was about to have enough. And I started to get a little angry. It's completely opposing to what we know about refugees. Refugees are people who have abandoned their country because the conditions have gotten too bad to where, for their life's sake, they chose to leave. That is a legal status recognized around the world, and that is the definition accepted around the world. In his view, people are choosing to abandon their country, for no reason. Just no reason. None. It's just, what war? What mass genocide going on? Actual deaths happening in their country? What highest murder rate in the world, Honduras? What giant fucking earthquake? No, their plan was to set off a giant fucking earthquake, make them all irreparably poor so that they have to abandon their countries to come here to dominate us. Okay. Sure. Alright. Let's go on. Let's go deeper down this rabbit hole. It's fun. This is fun. Is it fun? I don't even know anymore. Starting from the top, just to give it all context. I don't see a difference in both a foreign people referring to us, or not referring to us, replace a native people referring to us. Again, this isn't about immigration, even though it is. It's about refugees, which is a form of immigration. Refugees don't want to assimilate, they want to conquer. The idea that, assimilation is the only way to abandon your country because it's become dangerous to, that's the only way you can actually go into someone else's country is if what? You learn English, you put on a fucking, you start learn all the words to Star Spangled Banner, sing it all the time, and wear a fucking American flag t-shirt. Is that the assimilation? Do you want do you want children from Honduras to grow a fucking mullet? Is that American culture enough for you? Is that assimilation enough? Non-whites refuse to. When Europeans immigrated, they learned English and assimilated. Non-whites refused to. And this is a point that I see from our good buddy Doug from Hemul, that when the biggest problem he sees with with undocumented immigration, or as he puts it, the illegals, as he screams, is that they don't learn English, and we provide them voting ballots that aren't in English. I will give you 30 seconds to Google what the official language of the United States is. Go. It shouldn't have even taken that long. We don't have one. We do not have an official language in this country, which is why we were such a good magnet for immigration. We don't have an official language. We don't have an official religion. We don't have an official anything specific besides being Americans. The idea of America was, give us your tired, give us your huddled masses, give us your poor. It wasn't this fucking false narrative about whether you deserve to be here, whether you earned it. It's a joke to talk about assimilation. Because then you start asking yourself, what is the American culture? And I asked him that. He was like, well, American food doesn't exist? Not really. Our most popular item that we like to push on people, the hamburger, is, a meat sandwich that is named after a German city. Oh, well, we cook it differently. Oh, wow. Did we fucking reinvent the wheel there? The main music we created, jazz, came out of the people that we formerly enslaved, and we continue to disenfranchise for all of our entire history in various ways. And rock and roll came from fucking jazz. And by the way, guess who the first rock and roll musicians were? Well, no, we don't talk about how Elvis, stole specific songs from black artists. We don't talk about that. Oh, we can't talk about that. Is that American culture? Is American culture just us stealing things from other cultures that have better things? Is that what makes it American? Is that what it means to assimilate? Should they come here and start stealing our customs and making it for themselves like we do? Because that's what it sounds like to me you mean by American. Otherwise, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. The most popular rock bands that this country's ever seen were all British. I mean, for fuck's sake. What are you even talking about when you talk about, they need to assimilate? Oh, they need to not be who they were in their country. They need to be what we deem right and American. And by that, we mean white, English speaking with no accent. Basically, they just shouldn't come here. Which he later, he pretty much already admitted. Let's just go ahead and say that. He doesn't want him here. because he's worried that they're coming here to dominate us. That's their whole plan, is to dominate us. Dude, people aren't that complicated. There's no intricate plan for Muslims or for Mexicans or for people from Honduras or El Salvador or, as, the country of Africa, as our wonderful president decided to put it. There's no devious plan to do that. People are not that intricate. This is why a lot of the people who believe in white genocide, they have a tendency of believing in conspiracies. And conspiracy theories piss me off because of one thing and one thing alone. They are the world's most perfect plans that could be screwed up by any idiot who decides, to, be self-motivated. And I got news for you. That's most people. That is most of us. Most of us, if we have the chance to do something that's self-interested, we're going to fucking do it. I got news for you on that. So, give me a goddamn break. So, all it would take is for one person who's just like, I don't know about this, but I bet I could make a lot of money by selling this story, to ruin all of these conspiracies. And that includes white genocide and the supposed plans that these people have for coming here. They're not coming here to replace us. They're not coming here to dominate us. They're not coming here to start some mythical white genocide that somehow has nothing to do with killing us, but actually, intermingling with us and fucking us like we choose to do. Which we would choose to do anyways, because that's what we do. We are animals who like to fuck. They're not doing that for any other reason besides they see an opportunity that's better for them, and they're choosing to accept that opportunity. This is a joke. Now let's look at what is actually leading to the supposed white genocide. Which, remember, isn't actually a genocide. We are not dying. We are choosing to be with people who don't all look like us. Let's take a look at that. Babies of color are now the majority, census says. Today's generation of school children looks much different than one just a few decades ago. Non-whites are expected to become the majority of the nation's children by 2020, as our colleague Bill Chappell reported last year. This is now the reality among the very youngest Americans' babies. Babies of color now outnumber non-Hispanic white babies 1 year or younger, according to new estimates from the U.S. Census Bureau. The newest estimate shows that on July 1st, 2015, so this is an older story, so it's probably more now, the population of racial or ethnic minority babies was 50.2%, but the scales may have actually tipped in 2013. The Census Bureau often revises past population estimates as new data becomes available. So, let's find a conclusion here. America is heading toward the day when whites will no longer make up the majority of the population. The U.S. children will get there soon, according to the new U.S. Census Bureau. The agency also says the overall U.S. population will grow older and grow more slowly in coming years. By around 2020, more than half of the nation's children are expected to be part of a minority race or ethnic group. There is a key word there, and it's this one: part of a minority race or ethnic group. Meaning, they will be mixed. They will not be just one, there will be more than one. That's to include those who are quote-unquote pure, or more pure, if you want to go ahead and believe that, line of thinking. None of us are pure. None of us have ever been pure. You know, if you believe in Adam and Eve, they started fucking, and eventually they started having black kids or Asian kids or something at some point. And guess what? They started fucking white kids too. We just like to fuck. We just like having sex with one another and popping out children. This is probably where he gets the word dominate. When that shift for the U.S. as a whole takes place by 2044, the Census Bureau predicts no one racial or ethnic group will dominate the U.S. in terms of size, meaning we'll finally reach equality as far as population goes. Oh, excuse me. So, they're literally saying here that minorities are having more babies, and what's kind of buried in this, and I wish that I could find it. Oh, wait, I can! Steep rise in interracial marriages among newlyweds 50 years after they became legal. There it is! Oh, boy! Close to 50 years after interracial marriages became legal across the U.S., the share of newlyweds married to a spouse of a different race or ethnicity has increased more than 5 times, from 3% in 1967 to 17% in 2015. And talks about the Loving v. Virginia decision. It's something me and my wife like to celebrate. We celebrate Loving Day. We did not see the movie. We really should. But, like, look, Asian and Latino newlyweds are more likely to marry outside of their race or ethnicity than black and white newlyweds. Yeah, well, that is a thing. Interracial and interethnic marriages are now common. Are more common among college-educated black and Latino newlyweds, but not among white or Asian newlyweds. That is something that is unfortunate, but it's leading to this thing. We're just getting together and we're having sex. We're being happy with each other. We're not picking and choosing who we're with based solely on race. We're just doing it because we want to, because we like the person, because we like the way they look, because, we hit it off, or maybe we never saw ourselves with some specific certain, mystical somebody, but we saw ourselves with somebody, and lo and behold, that somebody just happened to be, I don't know, black, I don't know, Asian, I don't know, Latina, it's just something that naturally is going on. And it's something that's been naturally going on for decades now. There's no secret plan. That's what's going on. We're doing the same thing we've always done. We see something we like, we fuck it. That sounds awful, but I mean, really, what else could it be besides that? And what's really funny, let me see if I can find this. He may have deleted it. He deleted a lot of stuff, and it's really unfortunate. I wanted to ask him, because I pointed out that, my wife is black, and by the way, yeah, he deleted it, but he called refugees parasites, who are taking stuff from us more deserving. And this is where I think I really pissed him off, because I said, and you wonder why people compare you to the Nazis. Same ideology with a few inconsistent caveats, ain't it? And the inconsistent caveats is what I'm trying to find. Because he I kept asking him, and he kept refusing to answer me. He kept asking me, I kept asking him, why he believes, this. Oh, here it is. Because I was really frustrated with all this, and the fact that he can't accept that interracial marriage and interracial relationships have been on the rise for a while, and he doesn't see how it's at all related that we're there's more minority kids popping out, but there's a lot more multi-minority or interracial kids that are also popping out, and that counts towards a minority. They are considered a minority. A long-standing thing in a lot of communities as well. To take for instance, I have a mixed niece. She's not black enough for her black family, and she's not white enough for the white side. As the world looks at her. So that's still considered a minority, even if you consider it something different, which it kind of isn't. But it all counts towards it, and they can't see the relation beyond that. So here's what I asked. Let me just ask you point blank. Do you think I'm committing genocide by being with a black woman? He says, no, you are not. You can do what you want, but you are committing genocide by forcing our government to bring in refugees. To which I replied, how so? How are they hurting anyone by being here? They work, they live, they commit the least amount of crime of any population in this country. Show me on the doll where these refugees hurt you. He didn't really like that. And I just decided to let that part go. I said, I'd like to hop back to this. I'm not committing genocide in your eyes by also contributing to the end, the quote, end of the white race as we know it, end quote, by having a half-black child. But refugees being here to avoid dying in their home countries is because, whoops, sorry about that. Is because, come on now. Because the revolution that we will soon be, God, I'm sorry, I'm messing this up. I think I did this weird. I'm not very good at Twitter. Okay, I think it's here. Because the revelation that we will soon be a minority comes from the fact that we're procreating more outside our perceived racial roles. It has nothing to do with refugees. It's about wanting to get into some fine non-white ass. Not that my intentions are anything like this, but I think you don't understand what a genocide is. We, as white people as we are now, aren't being mass murdered. We're choosing to fuck and procreate with whoever we want. Refugees have no bearing on that, which is true. Which is true. Oh, I didn't bring up that display capture. I apologize for that, but I read it exactly as I put it to the guy. It's this refusal, this is what I mean about the inconsistency. According to him, I'm not a part of the white genocide because I'm married to a black woman and going to have a half black, half white child with her. Even though that adds to the statistic of that's making the white race a minority in this country. According to what he believes, I should be a part of that genocide. But no, it's because I have a heart for people who live in countries where they could all just die. And I say, you know what? Come and stay with us. We've got a lie here. That's a problem. That's leading to white genocide. Most of those people are children. So what the fuck does that say then? Well, I know what they would say. They'd say, yeah, oh, you know, all of you, you liberals, you're all, they're so fucking obsessed with pedophilia. I'm starting to really wonder if they need to be investigated. So I feel like they're about as bad as the anti, the homophobic people in this country. How they all end up turning, you end up finding out that they were having sex in a public bathroom in secret, and they've been doing it for years. Lindsey Graham. But they're so anti-gay, that they couldn't possibly be gay, and they always say weird things like, you've never been, everybody's been tempted by a penis. No, I've never been tempted by a penis. So, not everyone. Just saying. It's the same thing. They're so obsessed with pedophilia. So, I'm sure that if I ask that question of, if I pointed out, well, they're mostly children, they'd be like, well, you want to have sex with children. Or the children want to have sex with you. That's their devious plan, is to send the children over here because they know that all us, liberals and progressives, we're all just pedophiles, so we're going to have sex with their children. Straight out of the Alex Jones playbook. So we need to wrap this up. What is the right question to ask somebody who believes that we are being genocided out of existence? Honestly, it kind of boils down to, the old theory about just don't talk to them. But we've kind of tried that. We've tried in this country to ignore people like this, and now look where we are. That didn't work. So then what other options do we really have? I mean, we have to confront them. I think, because this is a tough one, I think the best thing to ask them is, why do you think we matter? Because we say we do? Because we were here not first, but we came here and we won some wars and made this our place? Is that what makes us matter? If our ancestors, our very early ancestors, could see what we look like now, do you think they would recognize their own bloodline? They wouldn't. They would be far more racist than most of the people here, and they would say, "Oh, you're part this. What did my predecessors do? Who were they getting with?" So we're not pure. You're searching for purity. You don't want to say it, but you're searching for purity. And it's easy to kick refugees rather than talking about interracial marriage or interracial relationships. It's easy to kick downward because, they don't have any power. They're just looking for a place to live. So you create this thing where there's this big plot. And after it's all said and done, we're not going to matter. And that's okay. It's okay to let that go. Our kids are still going to be our kids. Our grandkids are still going to be our grandkids. And so on and so on. They're still going to have that familial connection. It's still going to be there. Just because my kid is going to have coarser hair than me, and because he's going to have darker skin, maybe a wider nose, who knows what my kid's going to look like. But, he's probably going to look, he or she is probably going to look pretty different than, say, his or her cousins. And, that's still going to be my child. That's still going to be your grandkids. Because as I once saw, I'm trying to remember who it was. It was, I forget the guy's name. It was on Charles Barkley's short-lived CNN show where they interviewed Richard Spencer, and he had this great statement. Whether you like it or not, your great-great-grandbabies aren't going to be white. And that's just a fact. And in the long run, it's not going to matter. Because we don't look like our ancestors anymore. You look at the average height of, say, 10 generations ago. And we tower over him. I'm 6'1". I'm not a monstrously tall guy, I'm able to reach things more than most people. Slightly above average in height for a man. But if you put me in, say, medieval times, I would tower over people. So we really have to think, if that doesn't matter, if our ancestors and how they looked and how their genetics were way back then doesn't matter now, why the hell does it matter if we become the minority of a country that has such a bloody history of colonization? We become a minority by naturally accepting people as not others, but equals. I think that's the best way to go about it. They'll get angry, they'll huff and puff, We should matter. This is a white country. Well, we're apparently a white country with Greek democracy that has a Italian name that was mostly owned by the Spanish and the French. All of who were helping us to systematically kill the actual natives of this country, who, I will remind you, were not white. So, This wasn't a white country. It's never been. It's never been established as anything other than a country that has a minority white population. But if we didn't want more people of color here, we wouldn't have brought them here. Or we wouldn't have come to this land in the first place. If we wanted some sort of racial purity, we would have stayed in wherever we're from, wherever our families are from in Europe. For me, it was France. So, once you accept that the idea of the white race doesn't exist, and once you accept the fact that we, as we all look now, of every... Whoa, that was weird. Okay, I think we're good. So, I'm going to wrap things up here, because I know my wife wants to play a game and stream a game. But I think we got a lot accomplished here. So, what's the right question to ask? Why do we matter? You guys have a good night, and keep fighting the good fight. And remember, always ask the right questions.